Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Thank you all so much for joining in on today's training call. Our topic this month is the SalamanderLive scan mode feature. So we covered this back in September of last year when the feature first released, but we just released two additional scan mode options 2 days ago with the SalamanderLive version 69.3.11 release. So you may have seen some of this information in our bulletin that was just sent out. So in today's training, we're going to do a refresher on our current options plus walk through the two additional add-ons for scan mode. We'll take a look at what the scan mode feature is, including the various scan mode options and what is needed to get access to each. We'll take a look at how to configure and connect your scanner to work with scan mode, how to enable the specific scan modes, and then a quick high-level walkthrough of each mode. Now, during the training, please feel free to send some questions through the chat. As always, the training call is being recorded and will be posted on our Salamander YouTube channel. So what is the scan mode feature? So this is a feature that's embedded across SalamanderLive to instantly verify the status of people, equipment, and collections. You can also use it to quickly add and move resources into assignments within an event. You can use it to scan people and equipment into the issue, return, and consume carts. It's going to streamline that process. And then you can also use it for our new visitor check-in process. So we've got a new visitor management interface and kiosk in which allows you to use scanning. Now, user access to each of the scan modes is based on assigned products and role permissions. So I have a chart here that kind of walks through each of the scan mode, the account and product requirements, and then the roles that you're going to need in order to get access to each of these scan modes. So for verification, you're going to need just a standard SalamanderLive account. So it's available to everybody. For roles, you just have to have a role that allows you to create, read, update, delete operations for the people list, equipment list, and collections. Because verification, you're able to scan people, equipment, and collection barcodes. For scan mode event, you have to have SalamanderLive plus Events Pro. So if you don't have Events Pro, you're not going to be able to utilize scan mode for events. With this, you just have to have, again, create, read, update, and delete permissions for all event-related permissions. So you just have to have those operations. On the inventory side, you can see that there's four. There's issue, return, consume. Bulk return is the new one. So this we just released 2 days ago with that release we did. With this, you're going to have SalamanderLive, but you also have to be subscribed to asset management and then also need the inventory/app product. With this, or with all four of these for roles, you just have to have, again, create, read, edit, delete operations for the equipment list plus the inventory/app user. So if you're an administrator, you would have all access to this. But again, this is strictly, you'll see these are for those roles that are very specific and restrictive for inventory management only. And then last but not least is our visitor management scan mode. Again, this is brand new as well. For this, the account, you must have a civilian account. So visitor management now is only available within a civilian account. You have to have SalamanderLive, and you must also subscribe to visitor management. We have 3 roles that have been specifically created to manage visitor data. You have a VM administrator, and I apologize, it says admin, but it's administrator. Or you can have a visitor management plus visitor read role. So I'll dive a little bit more into this when we get into our civilian account and showcase the two of them. And I'll talk about why there's a difference between the two. Again, all of this is documented. I do have a user guide that explains all of this within the scan mode functionality where you're able to do all the scanning, the configurations, but I do have a visitor management user guide itself if you're interested in that you'll be able to see what the new tool and interface is all about. So for configuration, so if you want to use scan mode, you gotta use a approved scanner and it has to be configured on your computer and then connected to Salamander Live. So all scanners offered through Salamander are compatible. To configure your scanner, you just have to first reset the scanner to its default settings by scanning this barcode right here called Set Factory Defaults. Once you scan this, your USB scanner, it should reset. You'll hear a couple sounds. Once that's done, it's going to reboot and then you're going to scan this USB CDC host barcode. Again, if successful, the scanner should sound and reboot again. And what it's going to do, it's going to create a virtual serial port within your Windows Device Manager on your computer. Once it does that, your scanner is now ready to connect to Salamander Live for scanning. Again, these barcodes would be available within all the various user guides that allows you for scanning. For connection and disconnect, the various scan modes are represented as a red QR code button on their associated pages. So to simply engage a scan mode, just ensure that your configured scanner is plugged into your computer, and then you're going to click the red QR code button on the page. So again, these QR code buttons are going to be placed throughout. Again, it's dependent upon your permissions and if you have access to those various pages. What you're going to do is you're going to click on that and then a pop-up window is going to display app.salamanderlive.com once connect to a serial port. You're going to click the scanner that's listed and then click connect. Now with a successful connection, scan mode is going to be automatically enabled. You're going to see a little pop-up with that. Um, You'll also see that the red QR code button is going to turn green. That's going to let you know that scan mode has been turned on. But then there's also going to be a message at the very top that's going to let you know which scan mode you are in. So that's going to be top right of the screen. And then next to that message is going to be a disconnect button. So that's where you can disconnect your scanner plus exit out of scan mode. So let's showcase that. I'm going to showcase that here. I'm going to log in here. Just make sure I'm zoomed in. All right, so in Salamander Live, when you log in, you're going to see that there is one QR code at the top left, and this right here is your verification mode. So this is going to be a part of your main header, so it's static, it stays there, so you can navigate to all different sites or pages in here, but you'll also see that that will always be available. So to engage this, all you do is simply click. Once you have your USB scanner configured, which I already do, you're going to see that little pop-up. It's going to show your scanner that's listed and it tells you that it's already paired. That means it's been configured and ready to connect. What you're going to do is you're going to click on that and then you're going to click connect. Once you click connect, you'll see scan mode is enabled and what mode it's set to. So in this case, it's verification mode. I'm going to click OK. You'll see that QR code is going to turn green. Not only that, to the right of that, you're going to see scan mode and then which scan mode you're in. So right now we're in verification mode. And there's that disconnect button right here. So if you click on that, it's going to disconnect your scanner and then it's going to also exit scan mode. So what is verification mode? So verification mode, what this simply is, it allows you to verify your QR code. So people, equipment, and collection. It's going to pull up some results that you'll be able to just view a quick profile of that QR code. So I've got some samples here. I'll scan just to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to scan a barcode of a person. So you'll see here the people scan results going to tell you SIV is verified. So yes, Salamander Live does now have, with the verification and also on the event mode, it's also going to do the Salamander identity verification. So it's going to go through some tests, verify that credential that you just scanned. So this is Mr. David Baines. You'll see the base information on here. So his organization, email, home phone, mobile number, all other numbers if they were saved within that record. You're going to see it's going to show active. In this case, again, it's based off of their status. So if their status is inactive, you'll see that this is going to be in red. If they have a picture uploaded in their profile, you'll see this as well in here. So one thing to note about verifying credentials is that for you to get a verified and active result, this is resulting from scanning barcodes, people barcodes that you have access to. If you don't have access to that record, or if it's a rapid tag barcode, you're going to see it's going to be unverifiable. Down at the bottom left-hand corner, you're going to see that you can go into its details. So the person's details, if you wanted to, you definitely can click on that if you have access, and it'll bring you to that person's profile where you can go in and do your regular edits. So verification can be done on any screen. So again, I'm going to click on or scan on a specific equipment record. I'm going to click on the barcode, and it's going to tell me that this piece of equipment, mobile light tower, is available. The organization belongs to. If it's currently assigned, you're going to see that it's going to show that it's been assigned. If it's out of stock, missing, you're going to see that. So this Moosewood truck number 3 is assigned. That's just going to show me that information. Again, you can click on the details to go into that record, and then that's where you can see exactly who it is assigned to. You're not going to get that on the verification page. You can also do this for consumable items as well. So this is a consumable. It tells you right there it's consumable, available. You're not going to see how much you have available. You do have to click on the details to see that information. And then last but not least is collections. So scan this collection. This is Boat Jerry. It's an active collection. So you're not going to see any members within this profile as well too for the results. You do have to click on the details to view who are a part of this collection. So that is verification mode. Very simple, very easy. Again, I can continue scanning. I never have to exit out of this. Just know that it adds a layer so that your backend is going to, it's just going to continue to darken. So in this case, I'll just show you this. I'm going to scan another one. So it adds another layer. So this says that this drone team 1 is not an active collection. Again, I can switch back and forth between all different types of records. To exit this results screen, just simply click X or close, and it closes it out. So that's verification. Any questions? If you have questions, make sure you write them into the chat, and my moderator will be able to answer them. So moving on, let's go into the next one. So let's move into events. So for events, you have to have Events Pro. To access the events mode, you have to go into an actual event. So you're going to see right now we're still in scan mode verification. I'm going to go into this test event I just created. Once you go into the event, this is where you're going to find the events scan mode option. So you'll see it's right here next to the search button. Once I click on that, you'll see that I already have my scanner connected and configured. So all I need to do is I just click on that red QR code button. It's going to change my scan mode. So if you've used scan mode before, you'll notice that we did make a change. There used to be a connect button at the very top here where you had to connect your scanner first, and then you can click on the buttons. You don't have to do that anymore. We got rid of that, so all you do is it's a one click, connect and go. Once you're connected, you can just continue to change your scan modes as you were moving throughout the different pages. So now our scanner is set to event mode. You'll see that at the top it's changed from verification to event. So how does this work? As long as you are within the event, you can use scan mode event. Once you exit, it's going to change us back to verification mode. So I've got some people here. I'm going to scan some barcodes. So this person is verified, not in the event. So it'll show right here that they're not in the event. I can select an assignment. For this event, it's a real basic check-in, check-out. If you had other assignments, you'll see them listed there. So I'm just going to put on scene on here. And then what you're going to do is going to click the plus button to add them to the assignment. So you click that and you're going to see that's going to update and the results are going to change. And now the person has been successfully added to the on scene assignment. You'll see it turns green. And now you'll also see that that plus button turns into a move button. So since we have this record pulled up, if you wanted to change the assignment, you definitely can. So in this case, you're like, okay, we only have check in, check out. We want to add some additional assignments. You'd go into your chart. So in this case, I'm going to add an assignment in here. I'm just going to add a new assignment. Click the plus assignment. I'm just going to add in operations. So I'm just going to add this assignment real quick here. So I'm going to scan the same person again, Mr. David Baines. And now I can move him to this new assignment. So there it is, it's operations, and now I can move him. So now he's going to have two timestamps. It's going to show his activity. He was on scene at this time, and then he was moved to operations. You can also do this for equipment. So if you have equipment barcodes, so in this case, I have a truck currently not in the event. Again, I can put him on scene, add it to the event. Even if you have equipment that are assigned, they'll show that it's assigned. You can still move them into the event. So it just tells you that this truck has already been assigned to someone. If you want to see who it's assigned to, again, click the details. So in this case, I can move them into the event, click the plus, and now it's added. For collections, if you scan collection, it's going to pull the resources. So I'm going to scan one really quick here. So it's going to say that Bodalicia is active, not in the event. Once I add them into the event and I click the plus button, this is where the collection resources window will appear. So collection resources tells you who are all the different people and equipment that are within this collection. This is where you can uncheck the ones that are not there, that you're not checking in. So let's say Dennis Barron is not here, we're not checking him in. So just the 4 people plus this piece of equipment. I can click add and it's going to add the collection plus all the resources into the event. Can't do consumables, have to be fixed assets. Now, what about unverifiable? And I apologize, I forgot to show this on the verification side. What if you have a rapid tag barcode? Can you scan those in? Yes, you can scan them in. So I've got a rapid tag barcode right here. Scan this one in. It's going to show unverifiable. So the people scan, the verification is going to be exactly the same. You're going to see this very top. So if this person was unverifiable, you'll see that. It's data pulled from the QR code. It's going to fill in here. And then on the events side, you're able to add them into the event. So again, if I want to add them in, I can add them in, click the plus, and now this person has been added to the event. So unverifiable, what does that mean? So it could be 3 different reasons why you might have an unverifiable tag. So either those tags are from resources that you, the user, does not have permissions to, meaning they are in the system, but you don't have access to that organizational data. Another reason could be that those resources have been deleted from the system. So this person kept their ID, they had a record, for some reason they were deleted from the system, and so you're scanning them in, they're pulling up as unverifiable. And last but not least is any tags printed from Rapid Tag. So those are unverifiable tags. So that is on the event side. So that is events mode. Any questions on events mode? Okay. Let's go into the inventory side now. So inventory, again, you have to have the product's asset management plus inventory slash app assigned to you. So if you want to take a look at an account, I'll just go in here really quickly, just to give you an example. So products right here, and you'll see that we made some changes on this as well too in our release on Tuesday. So we have everything kind of that's a product of Salamander Live. So it's a sub product of Salamander Live. You'll see it's going to be tabbed over. So plans, asset management, events pro. You'll see all that listed here, and then all your apps are going to be at the bottom there. So you have to have inventory slash app. So that has to be assigned. So make sure that it has an invoice assigned to it, and then asset management in here. Click save. And then also you have to make sure that there's a role that allows them to get access to those products. So inventory, let's take a look at the inventory side. So again, there's 4 scan modes in inventory. All the scan modes are going to be within their various tabs. So under the issue tab is where you're going to find the issue mode. The issue modes are going to be within the cart. So just look at the cart, and then it's going to be next to the info button. So again, how to engage issue mode is just simply click on the red QR code. You're going to see it's going to switch now to issue mode. So now your scanner is set to issue mode. So simply, all you have to do here is scan. So you can scan on issue mode. You can scan a person, you can scan fixed assets, and you can scan consumable barcodes. So this is the only tab that allows you to scan all 3. So we're going to scan a person. Grab a barcode here real quick. So I scan a person, Roland Bishop. So one thing to note on here for scanning, for issuing, is you can only scan people, fixed assets and symbols that you have access to. Okay, so that you have access to. So no unverifiable tags can be scanned within your issue cart. You're going to pop up an error message. So let me show you that error message. So this is the error message that you're going to get. If you scan someone that you do not have access to, invalid scan, person not found. Same thing for fixed assets. For fixed assets, it has to be available and in stock, and you have to have access to those fixed assets. If you don't, you'll get an error message as well. So here's a sample. Here's one. I'm scanning this item. It's available, and I have access to it, so it's automatically adding it to the cart. Now, if I scan a product that's already assigned, you're going to get this message. So if you ever get this message where it says invalid scan, equipment is unavailable to issue, or you do not have access to the record, a quick and easy way is to just verify it. Just click on the verification mode, set it to verification mode, and then scan that barcode, and it'll let you know exactly what the status is. And that's the reason why you got that error message, is because it's currently already assigned. So you can't reassign it since it's in that status. Again, once you go into verification mode, to switch back, just simply click the QR code again to go back into issue mode. You can also do this with consumables. So consumables, I scan a consumable item. You're going to see it's going to pop up the issue consumable page, and I can put how many I'm looking at issuing out. In this case, select 10, apply, and you'll see it's going to add that 10 in here. You'll see that we made a change to this where you're now able to click on that quantity if you need to change the quantity. So instead of 10, maybe we meant 15 instead. Okay. There's some other things that changed on here, which we'll be covering next month in the inventory training. So come back for that. We've added some new features with issuing and returning, and it's related to parent-child relationships with equipment. For any that is unverifiable or out of stock, if you scan it, you're going to get this message, invalid scan. Once you're ready, simply click issue. You'll see all of this. You can finalize it, send out emails, send out receipts if you want to, and then complete the issue process. So that is on the issue side. So let's take a look on the return side. On the return side, you're going to see that there is two QR code buttons that you can activate. For basic return, it's this button right here within the returns cart. There is a new feature called bulk fixed asset scan return, and that's this QR button. So let's do a standard return first. So for standard return, you can scan one of two things. Scan the person. If you scan the person, it's going to pull up all the or all the equipment that's been assigned to that person. So I'm going to scan Mr. Roland Bishop again after I activate return mode. So there it is, Roland Bishop, and it's going to pull down all the equipment that's currently assigned to him. So here's all the equipment. So from here, if I wanted to return items, in this case, if you try to scan, so I'm scanning this mobile light tower, one of them ending in 117, you're going to get the return asset. So here's the thing about scanning fixed assets when you're on the return side. So if you scan the person first, it pulls down the list. From there on out, you have to do everything manually. If you try to scan the barcode while you've already scanned the person, it's going to immediately change your screen into a single fixed asset return, as you just saw what it did here. So now I'm in a single fixed asset return. So I can change the status, add notes, and now you'll see that I have no additional assigned assignments. So that's one thing to note when you're using the return side is that if you scan the person, once you scan it, you have to do everything manually going forward. Okay, so that's just the process that we have set as of today. So I'm going to do that again. Scan Mr. Roland Bishop. Find the items, and then from here, I have to do everything manually. If I want my assigned list to stay here and I want to return multiple items at once. So I'm just selecting the items from here. So I can return consumables if I want to. Here's the mobile light tower. I can return, oops, that was me just clicking multiple times. Okay. Turn the mobile light tower if I want to in this case. And then again, you can complete the process, return, and next. For bulk return, I have to activate and make sure I'm in scan mode return first. Once you're in scan mode return, and then you can click on bulk fixed asset scan return. I'm going to click on that, and now it tells me the screen changes now in bulk fixed asset scan return. So what is this? This allows you to return fixed assets that have been assigned to multiple people and allows you to do that in one transaction. So the bulk fixed asset scan return as of today is only available within Salamander Live. We have not updated the inventory app yet to do bulk fixed asset scan returns yet. We will have a release that's coming that has that feature available. Just look to the bulletin for that communication when that release comes out. So in this case, I'm going to scan a bunch of items. So I did a fixed asset. Again, no consumables in this case, is just fixed asset. Change the status of these if I want to. I'm going to do this Moosewood truck number 3. So again, you're not going to see the name of the person that these items have been issued out to. So it's just adding it to the return cart, doing the transaction, and it'll mark it within those individuals' records or the history. Okay, so these two items were issued out to two different people. So I can just, again, keep going. This is also scanned to a different person. So far 3. I just know that because I did this earlier. Now, one thing to note is that you're not going to receive and be able to do any receipts for this. So you're not going to be able to get any return receipts or capture signatures when you do a bulk fixed asset return. So once you click return and next, it's just going to mark these as returned on those individuals' records. So that's it. Once it does that, once you complete it, you click OK. It returns you back to scan mode return, not bulk mode. So for each bulk scan return, you have to activate that for each transaction. Any questions on the return side for inventory? So again, we've covered issue, return, return standard, bulk fixed asset. We've done a person, manual selection, and then a single item. Last but not least is consume. So the consume side, there's only one type of barcode you can scan, and that is the person's barcode. There is no scanning of consumable barcodes here. So you got to scan that person's barcode. So I'm going to scan that person's barcode, Mr. Roland Bishop, after I activate consume mode. So again, consume mode is again right here in the cart. So now you'll see at the top changes from return to scan mode. Scan the person's barcode. If the person has any consumables assigned to them, they'll be listed here. If they do not have any, you're going to see no results. Person just has some exorbitant rolls, so 15 assigned. So in this case, from here on out is manual adding to the cart. So just click on the item, enter your quantity, apply, and then go through your finalization of your consumption as normal. So pretty simple when it comes to the consume side. Again, consume is only available through SalamanderLive. We do not have the consumption feature in the inventory app yet as of today. That is going to be a future release. So any questions? I'm going to look through the chat here. I think I have one question, which Tracy, my moderator's answered. So the question is scanning asset codes on inventory. We can scan our county asset tags or need to add salamander asset tags. Okay, so it has to be tags that are printed from SalamanderLive. So that's extremely important. It's got to be from SalamanderLive. So our specific barcodes. Next question, if we have a count of 10 for consumable inventory and we scan and deploy 5, will the count in the inventory change to 5? The answer is that is correct. Yes, it will decrement from your total. So it's going to decrease that specific amount. And then it's going to show that that amount is in that person's hands. So there's a 3-step process, right? You issue it, it decrements it from your total on hand, and it puts into that person's, think of it as their basket. So they're holding on to those 10. So those 10 can either be, if they're deployed and used up, you'll have to complete that cycle and go into the consume side and put in here that that person consumed all 10. Or did they consume only 5 and they're still holding on to 5 that they can use for the next event? So that is that process. Any other questions on scanning for inventory? Now, please note that we have a bunch of inventory reports new ones that'll be available. They're coming soon. We're currently going through QA on here as of right now. We're going through QA right now, and they're going to be available in this reports section right here. So there's going to be a little button right here for reports that you'll be able to access all those new reports. There's a bunch of them. I couldn't list every single one of them, but there's a lot of different inventory related reports. They're going to be all new ones. We'll still have the inventory reports available on the equipment side, but these are specifically going to be for any issued, returned, consumed, event related or inventory that was used for events and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of different reports coming. All right, so that is the inventory side, which brings us to our very last scan mode if there's no other questions. And this is related to visitor management. So unless you were on last week's call, this is brand new. So we just released this past Tuesday, this new interface. So we still have the legacy version that's out there. So if you're currently using our legacy version of visitor management, there's no scanning capability within that wizard. It has to be within this new interface and new wizard. So I'm going to log out of this account and go to my civilian account. So you must have a civilian account in order to access visitor management scan mode. How you tell the difference is at the top left, you'll see a banner that tells you you're in a civilian account. So it's a completely separate subscription for Salamander Live. Everything else in this case is going to look pretty much similar when it comes to the different pages in here and the event management, but you're going to see that in here you'll see a visitor management interface, and then under the wizards you're going to see a visitor check-in kiosk, and then you'll see the legacy version here. So let's talk about visitor management. So this is for checking in and checking out of visitors. So whether they are, again, you're looking at building safety and security, you're looking at tracking who's coming in and out of your building. You can use it for multiple things. I know this is huge right now. A lot of our police departments have been have been subscribed to this feature to track all visitors that are coming in within their building and who they're visiting, and then printing off barcodes or tags so that you can identify who's a visitor from your actual staff. So let's go into the visitor management. Again, and this is high level. I'm not going to walk through this full feature. I'm going to be doing a separate training on this in July for those that are interested. If you currently have visitor management and you've subscribed to it, look out for a phone call or email from Tracy or myself. We'll be reaching out to provide you free training on the tool itself. And we'll go deep dive into it and all the different functionality that's available with this. But for today, we're just strictly focusing on scanning. So visitor management, you'll see that it is a completely separate database than the people database. So this visitor management interface is going to only hold data for your visitors. So they have to have a people type visitor in order to exist within this database. So you're going to see in here, there's two buttons at the top here. There's a check-in, check-out. That's where you're going to find your scan mode options. So when you click on check-in, this is where you can find the QR code. It's nice, bright, and big right here. Obviously, there's a manual option, but scanning in this case, you can click on that QR code. Again, I switched accounts, so I have to reconnect my scanner. And you're going to see that it's now been activated for visitor management. So once I have visitor management mode on, I can now use this for check-in, check-out, or within the kiosk itself. Okay, so it's not going to turn off as I switch between the different areas of visitor management. So in this case, all you're going to do is you can scan a barcode. You can scan a driver's license. So you'll see right here, you can scan any state issued identification or Salamander Live badge. Okay. So I'm going to scan a Salmon Live badge since this does pull driver's license information, and I post this on our YouTube channel. Don't want that floating around. So I'm going to scan a barcode. It's going to pull the information within that QR code. It's going to tell me. So right here, results. It says, Reed Bedford. There's no results. What that means is that this person does not exist within your visitor management database. It's a new visitor. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to click Create New. It's going to take me to my registration form. The registration form is going to have a lot of fields that you can collect data on. You see, you could take a picture, you can upload their picture in here. You'll see that the name types in here, so it's going to autofill this from your scan. Email address, highly recommend that you put an email address in here, especially if you want to email the credential to the visitor. So if you choose not to print any tags, you can choose to email them their barcode if you'd like. This is great for tracking accountability, especially if you're going to be checking in these visitors into an actual event for accountability. So I'm just going to put an email in here. Actually, I won't put an email in here, and I'll show you what you're going to see on the next screen. Mobile number, birth date. Highly recommend you put a birth date in here for all your visitors, especially if you're going to be using the kiosk and the interface interchangeably. The kiosk is going to require the birth date for verification. So that's a self-service check-in mode. And so that's the one way that that person can verify themselves is by their birth date, especially if they are a returning visitor. So if you're going to be using both, just collect that birth date and let them explain to them exactly why you're collecting that information. Once you put that information in, click next. Again, if the driver's license, if you scan a driver's license, all the driver's license information is going to populate down here. You'll see the address filled in and then the license information filled in as well. If this is a manual entry, of course, you can enter that information if you'd like, all optional. Click next to finalize the check-in options. So on this page, you have a couple different options in here. So at the very top, you got select host. Again, this is looking for your people database. There are different roles that allow you to get access. I'm going to talk about this when I go through this real quick here. So I'm going to type in Miss Edna Mode. There she is. So this host list is pulling anybody that's within your people database that does not have visitor as the people type. So they're in there as personnel, they're in there as civilian. You'll be able to pull their names within this list because the visitor can't be visiting another visitor. Once you select the person, you'll see there's an option to send a notification to the host. So in this case, you're going to see the email populated here. Again, if they don't have an email, so that host doesn't have email, you're not going to be able to send them a notification. From here, it's optional. So if you didn't want to check them into the event, you just say, here, they're checking into the building or on site. I don't have to fill in any of this data right here if you don't want to. And again, print credential option is going to be auto checked. You can uncheck that if you're not printing. You'll see here it says email visitor credential was disabled because the visitor doesn't have an email. So if you want to collect an email, you have to go back in here and type in an email. So I'm going back here. Now it allows me to send an email. So you got your options right here. So if you've worked with the visitor management legacy before, you know that adding them to event was a requirement. It was mandatory. There was no options at all. You had to create an event in order to get them checked in through the legacy version of visitor management. Today, you do not. It's an option. If you want to put this person and place them into event for track and accountability, this is where you can do so. Just know that you have to create the event first for the event to list. Once you select the event, then you have the assignments that appear here. Again, these are pulling from your events, from your actual event itself and what assignments you have available. You can choose to put notes in here if you'd like to. Again, if they're on contract and they're going to be there for the week or for the month, put that note in there. Put it in the system. Okay. whatever you want to put in there. And those will be viewable within the visitor profile as well as the people profile. And then once you're done, you simply click check in. Just note that we do have this check in timestamp, which will do a now time and date timestamp, or you can do a manual. Manual allows you to do backwards, can't do any future dates. Okay. We'll talk about that in the training when we go through it in July. Simply check in. So that's scanning of a driver's license or a salamander ID to get the person checked in. If you sent an email to the host, that person will receive an email. If you sent it a credential to the visitor, they'll get that email and then you can print. We have a bunch of new civilian civilian tag designs that's coming as well too. So we have an update to print control. They'll have all those new designs that you'll be able to access. A bunch of different colors as well too. So I just have one to showcase. This is actually two to showcase. I can showcase them to you today. This is not the finalized version. We are updating this as we speak, but here's just a version you take a look at. So it's one-sided now. Our old design actually had two. So there's a spot that's missing here because it's the person's picture. And then there's a landscape version as well too. Again, if they didn't have their picture, you'll see there's a white spot over here. So that is the check-in option. If you go for checkout, you can click checkout on here. You'll see that the scan mode is already activated for checking out. So in this case, I have a barcode. I'm going to scan this person's barcode. So it's when you scan it, it's going to look into the system, making sure that that person is found in the system. And not only that, the person is checked in. If that person's not checked in that checked in status, you're going to get an error message that's going to tell you that person's not checked in. So it's really quick. Again, you can see how quick this is when you're using scanning. You don't have to type in the person's information, click continue. So you scan, it finds that person, and then you can move that person out. If the person was part of an event, this is where you can move them off scene. So there's a list of items that happen when you complete the checkout process. Persons move to checkout, the QR code, the status of that is revoked. The person's status changes from active to inactive, and then it also moves a person to off scene if they were in an event. Changing status, you have options for active and denied. Again, come back in July when we go through that training. We'll talk about what this all means. And then, of course, your checkout timestamp. Once you're done, simply click check out, and it moves that person to the off scene assignment. So it's going to close this window, bring you back to your visitor management list. So in this list, we've got a bunch of different columns in here. This list just works like all the other lists where you can add all different types of columns in there, change your sorting of your columns, and then filtering, etc. So you have all of that in here. So that's scanning through the interface. There's one more scanning, which is done on the visitor kiosk. So visitor kiosk is basically what it is a self check-in kiosk for your visitors. So you can set this up on a computer, tablet. You do have to set the organization that you want these individuals to get checked in of. So again, you'll see that's only check-in. There's no checkout. If you need to check out individuals, they have to be done through the visitor management interface. So I'm going to select my organization, and then you have options on here. You have options. You'll see that first name, last name, birth date are required. Everything else on here, if you want them to fill out as an option, completely up to you. If you want to require email, you can put email requirement there. If you want to put phone number, you can put phone number. Anything that you don't care about showing, you can remove. Like for example, if you don't care about capturing their picture, remove that option. And then check-in options is are they visiting someone? So this is for everybody through that kiosk. So if you put a person's name here, that means all those individuals are visiting that one person. And then event, if you want to check them into an event, this is where you can select it. Again, you don't have to check them into an event. It's an option. They can just be checked in to the building. And then of course you can send emails or their credential to their email. Again, I required it, so that's an option. And then of course you can print if you have a printer there. So once you're done in this case, once you're done, simply, I'm just going to do this, save and continue or save and kiosk. Save and continue is for user managed kiosk. It's where you as a user, you're logged in. Once you click this option, the kiosk mode stays, but you have access to navigate outside of the kiosk. So this is something that you don't want to just leave out and have visitors come in and do, because they will have full access to your full menu and everything that and all your data. The save and kiosk mode is true kiosk mode. It's going to um, remove your menu item and it locks them into kiosk mode. The only way they can get out of it is by logging out. Okay. And when you're in kiosk mode, this never idles. It stays active the entire time. So active session. So I'm going to just do the save and continue just so you can see what this looks like. So save and continue. I'm going to scan a person's barcode. So I'm checking this person in. So if the person is found, I'm going to scan this person. Scanning their driver's license, it tells you that the person, they are a returning. How do I know? Is because this person already has a record in the system. I can check this person in, and this is where it's need to verify that birth date. So I got to put the birth date in. Once you put the birthday in, if it recognizes it, it brings you to this screen, okay, check in, and it completes that check-in process for this person. Simple as that. So again, any state issued IDs or a Salamander ID badge. If the person's already checked into the event, if I scan this person, it's going to tell me this person right here, active. Oh, wrong person. Yes, this person. I can check him in, verify his birth date. Click continue. This just does a check-in. I didn't select an event or anything, so it's just checking this person in. Okay. So that's basically that process. If I navigate out of this, if I go to dashboard, it just exits out of the check-in kiosk mode, and I'll have to go back and reset all this up again. So that's how that works when it comes to the kiosk for scanning. So two different options. Come back in July when I do this training to see how the kiosk and the interface works and how to manage your visitor database. Any questions on scan mode for visitor management? Any questions? Okay. I'll just go into the security user section just to talk about the two different options in here. So I'm just going to click on this person right here. So products, again, have to have visitor management turned on for the user. And then there's going to be two roles in this case. Or sorry, I apologize, three roles. So I'm an administrator, that's why I have access to all of these. But technically, for a true visitor management only account, you're going to have three roles only. VM administrator, visitor read, and visitor management. So VM administrator, think of this as your actual administrator. They get full access to both the visitor management kiosk and interface. Plus, they get access to the people database, organizations, and events. So they're the ones that go in there and can go in and add in hosts. They can go in there and create events that you want to track. And then you can also create organizations and tie these specific users to these organizations. So if you have visitor management set up at your reception desk, front desk, maybe you have one set up upstairs for records. Maybe you have another in a different area to collect who's coming into those three different checkpoints. That's how you can really manage that data. Or you can just put it all the same and then you can track it by the event itself. So you have full access to the event side, create the events, and in there you just have to make sure they select the correct event of which area they are going to be tracked in. So a couple different ways you can do this. So that's the VM administrator. And then you have visitor management and visitor read. So visitor management, visitor read is going to be important. So these are non-administrators. They are restricted users, which means that they have full access to two areas and two areas only. Visitor management interface and the kiosk. That's it. They're restricted from everything else. So no people, no organizations, no events. They can get into the events, but they really can't see any data in there. Why we have the visitor read in here, this is specifically so that you can pull down host information. Since this role is restricted from the people database, that's why we have visitor read in here, so it can pull hosts from the people database. That's really about it. So those are the three roles related to visitor management. Questions? Any questions? All right. Well, that concludes today's training. We went through all the different scan modes that's available. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out. I'll put my contact information up here. So just email training@salamanderlive.com or our 877 number to reach us. I will be running a inventory slash app training next month. So if you want to see a training that's very specific just to inventory, we'll cover everything from manual entry to scan mode again. Come back to that training. If you're interested in joining that training, just email me and I can forward you the invites for that. Just looking at questions. I think someone's typing here. Ah, Jody, thank you. Thank you. Well, sounds great, everybody. Thank you all so much. If you want to review this video, I will have it posted on our YouTube channel. You can always go back and review it. All right, everybody. Thank you all so much for joining in again on today's training. Have a wonderful day. Take care.